I'm Klaus Langout. I work in remote desktop virtualization team as part of Windows Server. The key value that it provides is to take all the applications and the data of the desktop that the end user uses and keep them in the data center and project them out to the client that they happen to be in front of. The IT pros, the corporate security people in the company really like that because the data never leaves the data center. I did a demo last week where the onboard NIC in my laptop was down. And so people were running around trying to find me another NIC to use on the laptop, and they just couldn't find one. And so finally I said, I'm just going to go off this Wi-Fi connection. And the AV guy said, you do realize that those 300 people that you're staring at are also using the same Wi-Fi network. And I said, I'm doing it. And basically it's the feature where you bring up our desktop app or our Windows 8 style app, and as long as you remember your email name, you can get to your remote stuff. So you type in your email name, it asks you for your credentials, you type your username, password, and then it says, voila, here are the applications and the desktops that your admin has published to you, and they appear on your start screen. And as they change, they continue to change on your start screen day after day if the admin publishes different applications to you. So it's a really easy way for the end user to find their remote resources by just remembering their email name. A lot of customers have said that a lot of the data, a lot of the applications that their employees use are going to stay hosted on-premise because they require a low latency link to the databases that they use, or the security of the data is so critical that they want to keep it on-premise. And so VDI is a great workload for on-premise deployment. And working with System Center as far as the overall management, both on the desktop side as well as System Center Virtual Machine Manager for the infrastructure side, it just works really well. We want to make sure that if people use or build on top of remote desktop services, that they have a fantastic experience no matter what network condition they're on. What about 3G and 4G? I want to be able to use it not just in a Starbucks on Wi-Fi, I want to be able to use it in the taxi cab on my cell phone 3G, 4G connection attached to my laptop. And so we set that as our bar. And so in a lot of our testing and a lot of the demos that we show now, we show 250 milliseconds of latency with about 0.5% or 1% of packet loss, and some jitter and noise, which is a good representation of a 3 or 4G network. In previous releases, people said our admin experience was poor. I'll use the word poor. And we wanted to make sure that when people first deploy our solution that they wouldn't have that same feeling, that they would say, hey, this was actually pretty simple. I was able to set up an end-to-end VDI or session-based deployment without too much information or too much clicking, too much typing. And at the end of the day, it set up a pretty decent deployment that I could actually start to kick the tires of. And so we really wanted to focus on something that was much simpler to set up and also simpler to understand. So we removed some of the role services we had in the past. We made it conceptually easier to understand. And we made sure that our infrastructure works for both sessions and VM deployments without any big change. If you put it all together, at the end of the day, the customer just says, can my end users have a great experience on any network? And that's what we provide. If your business has some concerns about data security, how do you empower your employees to bring their own device in and work from them or work from home? And you want to make sure that your employees have a great experience, can be highly productive, but you don't have to worry about data loss or how you can actually spend all the infrastructure dollars to make that happen across all these different devices, then VDI is definitely a great technology that you should look at.
VDI is all about user experience. It's not about how many virtual guests you can cram on a given platform. So when you factor in the quick provisioning time, the fact that you have very crisp ways to enforce policies, to enforce templates, predictability of the end result, ability to roll back to a prior image if you run into any sort of trouble, ability to roll patches out, ability to deploy application that will behave the same way if it's on a physical machine, in a virtual guest, in a sync client form, all that contribute to reducing the cost significantly. FX trades, one trade are in $100 to $200 million, one single trade executed by one single trader. If that trader's environment, primordially the PC in front of him, goes down at the wrong time, there's a potential for millions of dollars of losses. So we need to be able to have this capability to bring him up and running as quickly as possible. When you bring that from hours to seconds, it's invaluable. I don't see any workload known to mankind that cannot be ported to a Microsoft platform at this point.